So we're rolling. But we were discussing last week about the idea of how these kind of abstract notes, like, it occurred to me one day, like, you hear a sound, and how is it that affects, how is it possible that creates an emotional response in us when we're listening to these sounds? And so I think I said, just think about that. How is that? How does it and there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious about your own inquiry of what you thought.
With apologies to anybody who wasn't listening to our conversation 5 minutes earlier,
Right.
We talked about how notes in an old music book
Right.
Took you back to episodes in your early studies.
Right.
Sounds trigger episodic memory.
Right.
And can bring back the feelings that are associated with that memory.
Great. Right.
Sounds also touch us physically and not just orally.
Right.
Feel them.
Right.
And sound waves.
Right. So
pressure,
there's
pressure. We're sensitive to pressure.
Right. So that we have these kind of. I thought that was an interesting thing to think about. And so this idea that we have these abstract notes and then we have these sounds, but so any other and we can trigger memories, like a sound is similar to a sound that we heard maybe in another piece by Mozart or this, or so we have memory.
Right.
So that any other observation?
It can also trigger memories entirely unrelated to music.
Right.
Don't laugh, but I make my 85-year-old mother call me on my birthday every year.
Right.
I don't pick up the phone because I want it in voicemail.
Right. Okay. Got it. Right. Okay. Right. Well, that's another thing too. So music is also imitating the voice, right? Our speech. So there's a kind of a natural, it's imitating the way. There's a cadence. We don't speak like generally. I'm going to the store and I will never,
Well, there are those of us on the spectrum,
right?
who probably should be sitting in a room doing engineering somewhere,
right?
Who may do that,
right? But as a general,
we're not socially successful,
right? Exactly. So anyway, one of the things that I thought when I was thinking about, this is back in school. I used to love I loved philosophy and a lot of different things, but I was thinking about, for me, when we look at these pages on the note, on the page, the notes on the page, so music is basically, it's a series of, like music is a series of relationships. So one note is related to another note, and it's a system of relations. It's a web of relationships. So you have one whole piece, like a Bach cantata, or you have a suite, you have a movement from a suite by Bach, or you have a sonata from Mozart, or anything, a song, right? So I think, so this small world of the notes here, I think what happens is, if you think about outside, that's a big system of relationships. The world around you. So when you're walking here, I'm here, there's a car there, there's a tree there, there's a bird flying here. There's a leaf falling. There's this type of thing, right?
All of which are lost to the younger population who walk around with their attention riveted on their
they're missing like a lot of these things. But in other words, so like certain motifs so my idea, this just came to me one day, the epiphany was, we project the big system onto the small system. This is obviously this is smaller than the cosmos. Right. It's smaller. So our daily experience in life, death. What is death? Things go down. They lose energy. What's birth? Vitality. It gains energy as it grows. That's what happens in music. And I think we just project unconsciously, I think we project that onto these notes, and I think that's why I can make you cry. It can make you dance. It can make you smile. It can make you.
Or it could scare the hell out of you. In the case of some late romantic music that I struggle with,
Right.
These very, very rapid gains in energy
Right.
strike me as out of control growth. I mean, it's cancerous music.
Right. So the thing is when, let's say for example, so if in Bach or sometimes, I think the composers must have known this in some way because like say in the Bach Chaconne, you know the piece.
Okay.
So there's descending chromaticism. Chromatic meaning one step down, lower. It's like going like. I keep going lower, right? It's hard to feel up when you're hearing that. When you hear that, I think it's a universal because in our lives, death goes down. A leaf falls when we bury people. So there's a lot of unconscious motifs in our real world that translate, and we just project onto this blank series of notes another little system. And if it's a fortunate composition, then I think that's, at least from what I can gain, that's some way that it works on us. You know, in fact, the fact that we're hearing dum bum, and it's just something rising, dee da da dee dee. That could be tension. Oh, is it getting louder, tense? A siren, you know, things like that. So I think that's interesting for me to think that it's projection. So there is a truth here that's being projected on from the bigger set of relations, which is our lives. When you're going out, once you leave the door again, you're outside, and there's a bum sleeping, there's a homeless person sleeping on the sidewalk, and he's down and he's out. And you're going up, and then this person jogging, and whatever. So these types of things, I think, relate. What do you think? I mean, I don't know.
I understand. I believe I understand what you're saying, and
Right.
Yeah, it rings true.
Right. So anyway, I thought that was interesting because I think that's part of when we get to actually playing some pieces, deeper pieces that there's certain revelations that actually. They become meaningful to one's life. They're part of your life. That's when you know that you are one with the piece, or that you've struck a fortunate, the composer struck a truth in this abstraction. A kind of a truth within this mathematical game of notes and stuff like that. Anyway, thanks for sharing, and appreciate it.
Well, for whatever they're worth.
Yeah.